Hello, friends, and welcome to the show. So, this past week has basically lifted the veil on the illusion that the mainstream media is a neutral party. This episode, I'll be talking about how they lied about Brian Sicknick, how they're lying about Trump inciting a riot, how they lied about Trump being xenophobic, and how they're now actively attacking we the people for our personal beliefs. But before we get started, how about you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment down below. It helps with the algorithm. So, from Lauren Chen. I wonder how much coverage from the mainstream media this development will get. Are people like AOC, who attributed Sicknick's death to Trump supporters, going to apologize or retract her statements? Unlikely. Brian Sicknick, U.S. Capitol riot policeman, died of natural causes. A U.S. police officer who died after January's Capitol riot had 2 strokes and died from natural causes, the chief medical examiner for Washington, D.C. has ruled. So, remember, on January 7th, January 8th, they said Brian Sicknick was murdered by Trump supporters when they bashed him over the head with a fire extinguisher. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Joaquin Castro, the guy who likes to sleep with Chinese spies, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, I don't know if I said their names already, but they all perpetuated this lie. And they knew it was a lie because Sicknick's family came out and said he was never beaten with a fire extinguisher. After the riot, he texted his family saying he was fine. He was A-OK. And then his wife even said a few weeks later, I don't believe he died because of the riot. I think he died from a stroke. But seizing on the opportunity, Democrats, the way they've always been, use Brian Sicknick as a means to an end. They don't care about the police. That should have been the first red flag, just like they don't care about the military. They used him as a means to an end to push their political agenda. They wanted to say, white nationalists are the biggest threat to our democracy. Look at what they did to Officer Brian Sicknick. They beat him to death with a fire extinguisher. We need to jail them all. We need to re-educate them. We need to put them on a list. We need to destroy their lives. We need to identify them and segregate them from society because they are now considered to us second-class citizens. But they knew he didn't die because of the riot. Because they're in charge of the Capitol Police. The Capitol Police don't have to respond to FOIA requests like any other police department in the United States of America. They don't need to tell we the people who shot and killed Ashley Babbitt because for some reason Congress want them to be the only police force in the country immune from having to disclose how criminal of an organization Congress and the Capitol Police are. The only people that were killed were Trump supporters. Brian Sicknick was a Trump supporter, but he died of a stroke the next day. You had Joaquin Castro and Swalwell and other House managers essentially Photoshop evidence in order to push this agenda. They wanted to claim that Donald Trump incited a riot, which led to the death of a Capitol Police officer. Donald Trump incited no riot. To peacefully and patriotically have your voice heard is not an incendiary term. I'll tell you what an incendiary term here is in a second. But they use that call for peace as basically they use that call for peace as a basis to impeach. So now your First Amendment right to peacefully protest is now, according to Democrats, no longer available to we the people. But you know what is available to we the people? Oh my goodness, what happened? Right here, actually. So, you know what is available to we the people? I guess it's to burn down cities. So from Cat Turd, why is Marjorie Taylor Greene one of the few Republicans who understands how to fight politically? The spineless coward rhinos hate her because she shows everyone how worthless they are. Very soon I'll be introducing a resolution to expel Rep. Maxine Waters from Congress for her continual incitement of violence on innocent American people. Rep. Waters is a danger to our society. So why would MTG say this? Well, first, I agree with Catcherd because you see in the months after Donald Trump leaving office, who the people or which conservatives in Congress have a backbone and which don't. Which one is willing to basically have no principle? Marjorie Taylor Greene is willing to have her name thrown through the mud, and she's being rewarded handsomely for being tough. She may not be the sharpest tool in the shed, but sometimes at the end of the day, a sledgehammer is far more effective than a scalpel. But why is she calling for Maxine Waters to be expelled from Congress? Well, Maxine Waters said we need to be more confrontational in the streets of Minneapolis if we don't get the verdict that we want. Not only is this a violation of a free and fair, not a free and fair, but a fair trial, a fair criminal trial, which is a constitutional right granted by the U.S. Constitution to any criminal within the United States. Not only is she intimidating the jury, saying that we will be confrontational if you don't do what we want you to do, the truth be damned, but saying we're going to be more confrontational as there's buildings on fire, as riots are occurring, as police are being assaulted, as National Guard members are being shot at on the street of Minneapolis. What is more confrontational than that? People say to be confrontational is not inciting a riot. But if you say we need to be more confrontational as a riot is currently occurring, guess what? You are calling for that on a 1 to 10 scale. That riot that might be a 4, you're calling for it to be an 8. So you are inciting a riot. You're inciting the worsening of a riot that's currently occurring. So yes, Maxine Waters should be expelled. You need to remember this. Now, if there was nothing happening, if nothing was happening on the streets, if it was just silence and a candlelight vigil and no shouting was happening, no cans of soup were being thrown at police, no shots were being fired at the U.S. National Guard or at the Minnesota National Guard, if Apple stores weren't being set ablaze, and it was just a peaceful candlelight visual and saying, you know what? Us just quietly sitting here lighting our candles is not being effective. We need to be more confrontational. We need to create signs. We need to march on the streets. We need to have bullhorns. Okay, that's being more confrontational. And that would still be peaceful. But like I said, when you have all that stuff happening that's currently occurring right now, it could be, unless you're the mainstream media, everybody else sees it for what it is. It's a riot. So if during a riot you say the riot needs to be worse, you're inciting the worsening of that riot. And she should be expelled from Congress for that. From Ted Cruz, despicable. A Utah paramedic who contributed $10 to a defense fund for Kyle Rittenhouse is now the victim of a media terror campaign. This is disgusting. This is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. There were people, Project Veritas was banned from Twitter for a while because they posted, or basically they showed video in front of somebody's house who was a public figure for Facebook. And now they're doing this for a civilian who contributed $10 to a defense fund. Tell me what's worse. A public figure having the front of his house shown as he's being interviewed because he's doing he's having unscrupulous business dealings, or a paramedic now has the world see where this man lives. This is bananas. They disclosed his name. They showed pictures of his house, the decorations in front of his home. They're contacting his work. They're trying to destroy this man's life. In the name of what exactly? It's terrorism. Because they want to use this man as an example. If you contribute to a cause that we disagree with, you're next. Do not contribute to Donald Trump. Do not contribute to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Do not contribute to Matt Gaetz. Do not contribute to Lauren Boebert. Do not contribute to anyone not a part of the establishment, or else you may find yourself on the other end of this camera, and the world will know that you're a terrible person. And finally, Joe Biden makes the xenophobic Donald Trump blush and green with envy because he couldn't even be this xenophobic. Kiss goodbye to foreign travel. State Department plans do not travel advisories for 80% of countries due to COVID. The U.S. Department of State announced it will be issuing level 4 do not travel advisories for 80% of countries in the coming weeks. In a statement released on Monday, officials recommended that Americans reconsider all travel abroad. Level 4 is generally reserved for war-torn countries like those that would be considered hostile to the U.S. citizens or to U.S. citizens such as Afghanistan and North Korea. It comes 2 weeks after the CDC issued new guidelines stating that people who are fully vaccinated can travel safely within the U.S. and internationally. So, this is bananas. Remember when Donald Trump restricted travel from China and Europe, and Joe Biden came out and said, this xenophobic and racist rhetoric has no place in American politics. It's just fear-mongering. So what is Joe Biden's response now that he's POTUS? Well, I'm going to one-up Trump. I'm not only going to build more cages and rape the kids in the cages, I am now going to ban travel from 80% of the country or 80% of the world because I am a white nationalist. Joe Biden, all these policies that he's doing are just as bad, if not worse, than Donald Trump. And seeing the cognitive dissonance amongst mainstream Democrats is delicious. They don't know how to react. I bet you the 20% of countries that we are allowed to travel to are the countries that Joe Biden, or excuse me, I'm not going to get in trouble for this, that Hunter Biden has unscrupulous business dealings with. So I probably would imagine that Ukraine, Russia, and China are all countries that U.S. citizens will probably be allowed to travel to because Hunter Biden still needs to jet set around the world picking up bags of cash on behalf of the big man. So that's going to be it for now, folks. Unless the results of the Derek Chauvin trial are released today, I won't be posting another video. I have some work to do this afternoon. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Have a good one. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe. Have a good one.